Hey everyone, it's Rob Ward from the Willow Park Men's Committee, and this video is going to talk about the World Handicap System changes for 2020. So first off, the new World Handicap System was launched January 8th, and all of your handicaps were adjusted automatically. You don't have to do anything, it's all good to go. The biggest change is the former system used 10 of your most recent 20 scores. This new system will use 8 of the last 20 scores. And the reason they went with that is the new system will be a bit more responsive to good scores, which will result in a more accurate handicap that changes a little more dynamically. So to have a handicap, you have to have a minimum of 54 holes played. That can be 3 18-hole rounds, 6 9-hole rounds, or a combination of any of those. And the new max handicap is 54. And the new system will recognize poor form and will only allow you to go up 5 above your lowest handicap in the last year. So say you were a 12 handicap and you really started playing poorly, it's not going to go up more than 5. So you would end up at a 17 handicap. T-scores no longer exist. So if you're playing in the club championships, you don't have to enter your score as a T-score. The system uses all scores essentially the same now. Also, in the old system, tournament scores were kept for a year and used to factor into your handicap index. That's not the case anymore. All scores are just kept. It's your most recent 20 rounds. It'll use 8 of those 20. And there is a metric in there for exceptional score adjustment. So let's say you shot a really good round and it was 7 shots below your current handicap index. It will actually go back and lower your previous scores. So essentially, it just is a quicker adjustment for somebody that's playing really well. If you want more info on that, I can fill you in. It's kind of boring, but I do know about it. Entering scores. So a lot of people have said, what happens if it starts raining or I need to leave or something like that? So if you've played between 7 and 13 holes, you're going to enter that as a 9-hole score. So if you played 12, just scale back the last 3, you're going to enter that as a 9-hole score. And for 18-hole scores, as long as you've played at least 14 holes, you can enter that as an 18-hole score. You're probably thinking, what do I do for the holes that I didn't play? They're going to be par of the hole plus your handicap strokes. So if it was a par 4 and you get a stroke on that hole, you're going to enter it as a 5. What is my max score on a hole? This is probably the number one question now because this has changed. So it's going to be par of the hole plus 2 strokes plus your handicap strokes, which is net double bogey. So let's use hole 1 at Willow Park as an example. It's a par 5. Double bogey would be a 7, so 2 strokes. And let's say you're an 8 handicap. Well, the first hole is the 3rd handicap hole, so you would get a stroke. So that means your highest score you can take on hole 1 is an 8. So you need to know what your handicap is to calculate this. And the best way to do that is to look in the Golf Canada app. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so if we want to look up our handicap, you go into the Golf Canada app. Once it loads up here, you're going to hit the 3 dots in the top right corner there. Go to Course Handicap, and it'll tell you what your handicap is from each tee box. The other nice thing is if you hit the down arrow next to any tee box, it'll actually show you the handicap rankings of each hole. So hole 1 is the number 3 handicap hole. Hole 2 is the number 15 handicap hole. So if you need to quickly check if you get strokes on a hole, that's a good way to do it. Entering scores. So scores must be entered the same day now. So this is a big change. I know a lot of people would take their scores for the weekend and enter them on Monday at the office. You need to enter them same day now. And we'll get into details on why that is. You also must have played with someone else. So if you've played alone, technically you're not supposed to enter that score. You need somebody there to kind of verify that you were playing by the rules, I guess. And hole-by-hole entry is always best. There's a lot of reasons for that. It will do your handicap strokes for you. So if you're not sure about your max score, if you're doing hole-by-hole entry, the Golf Canada score entry app will just do that for you. So you don't even have to worry about it. You can also just open the app on your phone while you're playing and keep score that way. It's really easy. You don't have to worry about all the handicap strokes and all that. It also is good for the course because if we ever wanted to get it re-rated, Alberta Golf would actually use all the hole-by-hole scores to re-rate the course. So it just helps the course out as well. So if you can, do hole-by-hole entry. That would be best. And now if we wanted to do hole-by-hole entry, we're going to open up the Golf Canada app. You're going to go post a score at the top there. And then at the top, you're going to click H by H, which is hole by hole. And then you're just going to tap into the box, hit the pluses and minuses, and you can put your score in for each hole. To change holes, you just hit that right arrow. So we can make it whatever we want. It's kind of nice to use this when you're just walking around the course if you don't want to have to do the math about max strokes, or you just want the app to add up your score for you. It's a lot easier to enter your scores this way. And then when you're done, you'll just hit the check mark in the top right, and you'll hit save, submit, and it's a lot easier. So the importance of same-day score entry, as I said, this is the biggest change. It's really important stuff. So the system every day is going to account for the difficulty of the course. So let's say it was really rainy, it was really windy, Brian put the pins in really hard spots. What it's going to do is it's going to look at all the scores that were entered that day, and if everybody was playing really poorly that day, it's going to say, okay, the course was obviously tough that day. We're going to, give everybody a few strokes off. That's a rough example of how it works. More data points are better, so the more people that do enter their score on the same day, the better, because it'll be more accurate. And it just allows for the most accurate handicap calculation. As we said, if the course is tough and you shoot a really bad score, well, if everybody else shot a bad score, it should be adjusted accordingly. So that's what is going to happen. Now, if you have any questions, you can email me. It's wardpr@hotmail.com. I know a lot of people have already had questions. That's why we put this video together. So feel free to email me at any time. Thank you.